Okay, so this is my first attempt at building a snake enclosure. I'm going for roughly 4 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot. Here I've got some 1/2 inch plywood panels. These are 2 by 4. They were already pre-cut at Menards. Got 3 of those for the bottom, top, and back. And then I've got 3/4 inch plywood, 2 by 2s. These were also available pre-cut at Menards. They just have, you don't have to ask for them to cut them. They're just already cut there on the shelves. Total cost for the wood here was under $50. I also have solid aspen, this one for the runner on the bottom of the opening, and this for the top and sides, 1 by 2s by 4 feet. I've watched a lot of videos on building enclosures on YouTube, and I think I've sort of put together an idea of the parts I like best out of all these different videos. I'm going to assume everyone has kind of a basic knowledge of carpentry. You know, pre-drill all your holes, countersink them, use screws of a proper length. We're gonna run liquid nails around everything, and eventually seal it up with 100% silicone, and probably some vinyl flooring for the inside to make it all waterproof. So first I'm going to get the wood assembled. Okay, so I've got the sides on, and here's the back, and this is the one cut I had to make on the plywood. I had to remove 1.5 inches off the length so that it would fit in between the sides. Notice that the sides and the back sit on top of the bottom, and the top is going to sit on top of the back and the sides for the most strength. Oh, okay, so I have dadoed the top and bottom runners. Got the whole thing kind of put together for the most part, the main structure. I dadoed out about 3/4 deep on the top, or actually that's the bottom one, that's 3/8 deep, and the top runner is about 3/4 deep so that the sliding panels will be able to come out. So that'll go down there, and then I'm going to dado the side boards between the top and the bottom as well, so that they fit nice and snug. Now you also want to be careful not to run the screws up into the channel that you dadoed out here. I actually had to snip off the ends of my 1.25 inch screws just because I didn't have anything shorter on hand. Okay, so now I've got my top and bottom pieces cut and dadoed out. I've got about 3/8 on the bottom. Okay, and here it is with all of the runners up here, all dadoed, just with the table saw. And here's kind of what we've got. So next, I think, is going to do the trim on the outside, and then we've got to seal up the inside with some vinyl flooring that we get from Menards. Okay, all the screw holes and everything, gaps are filled with wood filler, and I've got the first coat of, I ended up getting this stuff called Watertight waterproofing paint. And this is supposed to be just as good as like the that other stuff. Anyway, so I'm gonna do probably a couple 3 coats of that, and then I've got this kind of a plastic panel, the sort of thing you'd line a shower, like a shower wall with. I'm gonna put that in the bottom here, just to make it a little easier to clean. Okay, so a few things I've got done now. I've got 3 coats of that dry lock paint on the inside. I've got my panel of this plastic stuff glued to the bottom, and everything is silicone with 100% silicone across all the seams. I've got my trim on and my dark walnut stain, and the second coat of polyurethane is drying right now. It's not the prettiest. You can see the wood filler in places, and some of the construction glue seeped out. So it's not the prettiest, but it's really, I think it's really built to last and looks pretty cool, as long as you don't look too closely at some of this stuff. But I think it looks fine. You know, if it's a little rustic, that's cool. But it should match all the trim in my house now, the dark walnut stain. So that's neat. I'm gonna do one more coat of poly, and then I've got to figure out. I think I'm gonna put some kind of feet under it, or maybe build some sort of stand so that I can have it sit on a platform and have a slice of insulation with some heat tape inside it, underneath it, to heat this thing. Also, I need to install a light and get my doors cut out of plexiglass. So that's where we're at now. Not a lot of progress lately. Still waiting to get paid again so I can get the sliding doors made. Start making a little more progress on this thing. One thing I did do, after my 3 coats of poly on this thing, I noticed that it was really bumpy and kind of rough. So what I did is I went ahead and just sanded everything down with a fine grit sandpaper, and then cleaned it off real nice and laid one more layer of poly down on it. So I think I've knocked down the grittiness of it quite a bit, and I think that just came down to me not sanding it enough at the beginning. But now it's pretty smooth, so pretty happy with it. Okay, here's kind of the final deal on this enclosure. I've got the doors in. Those look cool. It's hard to get them open. I don't have the handles on them yet. Well, so I guess this isn't completely finished. I have to put the handles on the doors. But otherwise, everything's pretty much done. I've got this ceramic light fixture thing screwed in there. That's all siliconed around it. And then the hole for the wire is siliconed. And then out here, what I've done is installed a dimmer switch that you can plug an extension cord into. So you can plug this in to your thermostat, set this where you want it, where it's a good temp inside, and then it's kind of a, you know, if your thermostat fails, then you won't end up, you know, like burning up your snake or whatever. I think it seems like a good idea, you know, just have a little dimmer on there and run the light with that and a thermostat. So that's pretty much it. I've got this little cage that I can put over there if I can figure out how to fasten it. Like this thing, it goes on there, but it's you know, it's not perfectly even, so this kind of slides off. So I don't know, I've got to figure out something for that. But yeah, otherwise I guess just putting the handles on the doors and it should be in good shape.